Dawn. And the city comes to life. Already, early workers are on the move. It's a morning much like any other, and very soon, a day like any other. This is Aberdeen, the city of granite, whose harvests are from the sea. The fishing vessels, they come and they go. But for one of these vessels, this is not a day like any other. In a few hours from now, the Glenstruan of Aberdeen leaves on her maiden voyage. Her fishing tackle goes aboard. Lubricant and fuel are taken on. Supervised by the ship's husband, responsible for stores, the last of her somewhat domestic needs, for she'll be away 3 or 4 weeks, disappear below. Ice, 30 tons of it. And finally, the bait. Now the skipper, George Morris, arrives. A man bred to the sea, his father and grandfather skippers before him. They've come down to see their men away, or a new vessel off on her first voyage, a bit of both maybe. Not a drifter or a trawler, but a Greatline fishing vessel. A Greatliner, first of her kind in Aberdeen, specially designed for the job. So the Greatliner Glenstruan, all 183 tons of her, turns her nose to the north.
Aye, our moment of glamour's over, and there are 4 days sailing ahead of us before we start fishing. Jimmy Buchan served with the Navy in the Far East during the war. Alec Bruce, chief engineer, started in heron fishing when he was a laddie of 13. Joan Mearns with a family of 8 back in Aberdeen. Past Buchan Nest Lighthouse off Peterhead, where the Glenstruan was built. Now, if you're looking for adventure, we aren't. A steady 11 knots and no trouble. That's all we want. George Scott, second engineer. He could tell you a story or two about Atlantic convoys. Now we're down to business. Time to get the tackle out. Bobby Tate, he's a family man too. 7 bairns biding time till he's back. Jackie Ritchie, the only bachelor aboard. Bill Anderson, the mate. He was with the army in 1940 and taken prisoner at Dunkirk. Bit of an escaper, Bill. Twice he broke out, and the 3rd time he got clear of war home to Scotland. It's not a red carpet going down, but it's here we'll greet the halibut we're after in these northern waters. head off Iceland. These are the Westman Isles. Another 200 miles beyond them's our objective. Now to get the tackle set up. Here's the hauler to pull in the line. The skipper and mate examine the white buoys to be tied at each end of the line. To mark the buoys, there's a sort of flagpole at each end, called the Dan, D-H-A-N. Time to get the bait up. It's herring, frozen stiff from the ice. Up in the wheelhouse, the skipper's settled on a likely spot to shoot the line. You know, deciding where the fish are, man, it's a big responsibility. Now the first Dan and its boys, pallets we call them, go over the side. The mate signals Dan away, and the Dan floats off carrying one end of the line. And here's the line coming round the stern of the ship. The rest of it is coiled into 36 baskets. You see, in actual fact, there are 36 lines, all to be joined together to make the one line, 10 miles long. You need that length in this deep sea work. Aye, there's something of a swing about baiting the hooks and throwing them overboard. Meantime, we are moving slowly along as the hooks are baited and paid out. The line goes down, anything from 150 to 350 fathoms, settling on the rough seabed where no nets could trawl. Now the last of the baskets, and all the lines away. The anchor, or the sinker you might say, goes over, followed by the second Dan at this end of the line. Now a couple of hours to wait for the halibut to grab the bait. The skipper instructs the helmsman to bide by the second Dan, and we've 2 hours to call our own. Outside, the Dan is waiting.